Hi, and welcome to a special video on YOLO Adventure. As an Italian American, I've been to Italy over 50 times. America sends more tourists to Italy than any other nation except Germany. And it must be said, we are much loved for our always smiling faces and generous attitudes.
YOLO Adventure, live your dreams, chase the sunsets, follow streams. One life, one chance, come explore. YOLO Adventure, there's so much more. Dive in deep, climb up high, touch the stars, reach for the sky.
But Italians can also easily spot you for your follies as a foreigner. When you order a cappuccino after lunch, for example, which for us Italians is as hard as to imagine as eating a dish of pasta with garlic and olive oil and chili for breakfast, things are different. So here are some rules to make your trip more authentic. It's called foreign travel because it is different. So here are some tips on how to better blend in on your next trip to Italy. The first step is understanding that while Italy is small compared to the United States, the US is around 32 times the size of Italy, a distance of a couple of miles here in Italy can sometimes make a huge difference when it comes to attitudes, accents, and especially cuisines. That means Italians are well versed in the challenge of adapting to a new place. Indeed, it's often difficult for Italians even within their own country. Even so, here are a few general rules that apply everywhere in Italy to varying degrees. In the United States, it's not uncommon to be handed your bill at a restaurant soon after you've finished eating. This is absolutely not the case in Italy. Unless you're there in a restaurant that has a long line of people waiting, they will not present you with the check until you ask for it. Italians don't like to do more than one thing at a time, especially when it comes to food. Eating while driving is almost incomprehensible. For Italians, it's important to focus on your food. It's central to their culture. They like to extend the occasion for a while. Some of the most delicious moments are enjoying chatting after meals. If you're in a restaurant and you don't get your bill quickly, just relax. You're on vacation, not trying to inhale your lunch on a short break. If you're in a good restaurant, the owner may stop by with a bottle of limoncello or of Amaro. You can enjoy a small glass, though of course you shouldn't be obligated to drink if you're not interested. You normally will not get the bill until you ask for it. Italians will often order a round of appetizers to share, and then they will order their own individual dishes. You'll hardly ever see an Italian put Parmesan cheese on a dish fish, unless you are dining in a restaurant that is especially adventurous. No Parmigiano on fish. And of course, we say Parmigiano and not Parmesan. Don't order more than one entree or ask for too many changes on your dish. Otherwise, you may face a series of no's. Much of Italian culture unfolds at the table, so there's much more to be said on the topic in the sections that follow. If you can't roll your spaghetti into a fork, forget the noodle entirely and order short pasta. So these are a little bit of pasta basics. Rolling spaghetti onto your fork takes some practice, but not much. A word of advice: don't cut your pasta into small bites. Instead, choose a short pasta such as a penne, a tortelloni, or a congili, which are easy to eat with a fork. Remember that pasta should be eaten al dente. That's not a simple rule invented by connoisseurs. Overcooked partner is harder to digest, so once you get into the al dente habit, there's no going back. Coffee is a serious business in Italy. It doesn't require too many modifications or variations. For an Italian, visiting Starbucks with its 10 different types of milks and long menu can be overwhelming. Why not order as an Italian would, starting your day with a cappuccino, a macchiato, or a dica, which is decaf. In Milan, you may hear a marroncino or a Moroccan, used for what is known in other parts of the country as an espressino. It's just common slang in that hospitable city, and there's no bigger significance to the name. In any case, the drink consists of coffee and a little foamed milk poured in layers with a generous sprinkling of cocoa. If you need caffeine in the afternoon, order a café, which to us is espresso. In any case, the drink consists of coffee, a little foamed milk, poured in layers with a generous sprinkling of cocoa. If you need caffeine in the afternoon, you order a cafe, which to us is espresso. You can say cafe corto, cafe lungo, or cafe macchiato, but you never say espresso. We don't like taking our coffee to go as a rule because it takes the flavor on of the paper cup and stays like cardboard. Instead, we generally drink at the counter. If you drop by a nice bakery for breakfast in the morning, remember not to linger too long. An exception to the lingering rule because there will be somebody behind you to wait your turn. Also know that coffee is cheaper if you have it at the counter than if you sit down at a table. Also, things are changing in some tourist cities. Kitchens in Italy are rarely open around the clock. Instead, lunch will typically be served until about 3 p.m., and then the dinner service will run from 5 p.m. to 10 or 10:30. Between meals, there are bakeries, gelaterias, and cafes to choose from if you need a snack to tide you over to the next meal. Gelato makes for a good snack between sit-down meal times. And buy your gelato from a gelateria that has flat gelato. The ones that are pumped up and puffy are all air and not the original. Cities like Rome, Venice, and Florence are plagued by mass tourism, the physical effects which can be difficult to avoid. Stores and stalls selling cheap souvenirs have proliferated all over. In a country where craftsmanship is still widespread and often excellent, there are still plenty of opportunities to find items. For example, the chief glass animals you'll find for sale in the stalls around Venice's Rialto Bridge are not made on the island of Murano, a famous setter for artisanal glass, but instead imported from countries where cheap labor is common. It's worth the effort to get off the beaten path and explore shops where every handicrafted piece is unique. Tea towels, slippers, leather bags, or hung in bunches, and plastic religious icons really do nothing to support the cities where they are sold, and they contribute to a trade that's neither fair or ethical. Everybody asks about tipping policy. Most people will tip around 5% of the bill or up to a maximum of 10%. Unlike in the United States, tipping is not essential because waiters are adequately compensated by their salaries. Although they're not opposed to a little extra if you're so inclined, many people will leave almost nothing or little change left over. But if you leave too much, you'll be considered a bit of a fool. Yes, we are Italians, often speak loudly, and we are similar to Americans in this way. But when visiting monuments and other sites, talk more quietly and you'll blend in. English is now the de facto language of travelers. You're lucky that most anywhere you go, you can speak your own language. Almost everyone around the world uses it, understands it, and at least strives to do so. But because accents vary, it's not given that everyone will understand you with ease. If you express yourself simpler in English, speak slowly, avoid idioms and acronyms, and you'll find it easy to communicate. Have some fun and try to speak Italian. We love it when people try, even if they make some mistakes. If there's anything that differentiates us from the French, it's this: don't speak Spanish. We are two different countries, and while Italy and Spain are similar, they have their own differences. So it sounds strange when Americans speak Spanish, ours very poorly, and think of it as close enough to Italian. If only we could have a euro for every time Italians heard a tourist use the expression La Dolce Vita, which was also the title of Federico Fellini's award-winning film starring Marcello Mastroianni. You will never hear it in conversation amongst Italians. Never, never, never. That sweetness you attribute to us something that we perceive differently. I should add that many Italians have not even seen the movie. On this topic, you should also avoid another cliched phrase from Italian that's beloved by Americans: dolce far niente. Means nothing to them. If you're invited to an evening at the home of a new Italian friend, go with the flow. First, you'll likely enjoy an aperitif or a cocktail, perhaps on their terrace, and then you'll move on to the dining table. Afterwards, you may return to the terrace or the living room for another post-meal drink. Don't be in a hurry. A long meal at home is a quintessential friendly Italian gesture, and the experience shouldn't be rushed. If you are offered a second serving, it's polite to accept, especially if you're in Rome or in the southern part of Italy. Otherwise, it might look like you didn't enjoy the meal. It's generally socially unacceptable to overindulge in alcohol. Even in bars, aperitivo is accompanied by small bites to be enjoyed while drinking. If you are a woman and you are asked out on a date by an Italian man, or even just invited to a casual lunch or dinner, he will generally pick up the tab. If, on the other hand, you are both of the same gender, the person who has done the inviting generally pays the bar or the restaurant tab. Splitting the bill is not common. We even have an expression for it in Italian called alla romana, but in our culture that is a bit of uncouth, even in Rome. Don't be late for a date, especially in northern Italy, from Florence on up, where they are very punctual. I hope these tips have helped you the next time you go to Italy, and we'll have a wonderful time. Arrivederci.
YOLO adventure.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. And we'll see you in the next video.
YOLO adventure. There's so much more.